Hello, book lovers. I'm Peg, the Book Prize Addict, and I am super excited about this book, Ducks, Newburyport. I just listened to Eric Carl Anderson just put out a video where he talks about big books, but this was the one he talked about most and is just about ready to start, and I can't wait to see what he thinks of it. I know he'll write a great review, as he always does, of books. But I think a lot of people are actually wondering what this book is about, wondering if they ought to order it. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience reading it. There's no worry about me spoiling it because I'm not finished yet. I'm about 3/4 finished, 1,000 pages. But let me tell you a little bit about how I approached it that made it a little easier to approach and to keep going, how I divided it up. First of all, I want to say it's not that easy to get a hold of this book. I had first heard about it from Steve Donahue when he opened his advanced reader copy of it way back in the spring sometime, and he liked it, and I knew it was long and thick, and I immediately pre-ordered it on Amazon. It was supposed to be published on July 4th. Well, July 4th rolled around and Amazon sent me a little note, sorry, this is unavailable, we'll let you know when. And I immediately canceled my order. I didn't want to wait around, and it still is not published in the U.S. as far as I can tell. Amazon has a date of September 10th for it now. So let's see. That will. I should have said, of course, that it is on the Booker long list, so it's, I'm sure, in demand now. And if you get it on September 10th, the shortlist will already be announced. But I really, really feel like it's going to be on the short list. I really want it to be. So anyway, just let me give you a little breakdown of how I'm approaching it as I read and stuff I've kind of figured out to make it a little easier. First of all, as you've probably heard, it is a 1,000-page, one-sentence monologue by a woman in her probably late 30s. And most of the time when she's talking or thinking, she's busy baking in her kitchen. Something has happened in her life that she can't go out to work. We find out more later what it is. And so to help out the family finances, she is taken to baking for restaurants and places, coffee shops and things. And we hear a lot about that, and some good recipes and things she's making and what they consist of and problems she has, and that's a really fun part of it right there. So I'm actually going to divide it up. It's mainly her talking to herself or thinking, and it's so well done. I almost feel like I'm in her brain after a while. When I first started, it took a little getting used to, but I just want to say, keep going. It gets better and better. It's not a book to rush through. I'm reading 50 pages a day, so I have, 400 left, so I'll be finished next week sometime. But I am loving it and thought I'd share a few things that I found from it to kind of keep it straight what's happening. First of all, the long, drawn-out sentence is usually about one of 4 things on each page. So first of all, you hear her thoughts on first of all what she's cooking, what's going on with her in the immediate present, and some things she's feeling that really spot on. I just really identify with her when she talks about how she's too sensitive to what other people think, even about her baking, and just really hit with things that I thought I've never heard anybody else feel that way, but I do anyways. One of those wonderful things that you find in books. You also find out some things about her family as you go on. She has 4 children living at home, and husband Leo, who she loves dearly. No marital angst so far. They seem to love each other very much, which is refreshing for a change. She does talk about her first marriage, and which wasn't so great, and her oldest daughter is from the first marriage. Her oldest daughter is also in the teenage years and giving some problems. There are definitely some mother-daughter problems, and we hear it from the mother's side as we go along. So a tactic I've used is to kind of underline the part that gives some clue to the family, because as you go, there's many other things, and I like to keep track of the family because I know that's a story that's going to be ongoing. Now, a big part of it is what I hope it's not going to throw you off. It did at me at first. Is there's a huge amount of lists. She'll be thinking of something, and then all of a sudden she'll go out in a segue of word after word after word that reminds her of other words. And I sort of went into a different way of reading when I would get to the list. I didn't skip over them, but went into what's called non-sub-vocalizing, which whenever I read, normally I try to puzzle out as I go and think about the words. And when you don't, that's called sub-vocalizing, when you actually say the word to yourself. Well, during the list, I learned that it's best just to kind of flash my eyes over the list. I do get something from them, but it speeds it up, and the list becomes something, form an image in your mind after a while. For me, if I just go over them quickly and come to find out that the lists are part of what she is, on the back they say that is a scorching indictment of America's barbarity. So she has a lot to say about the world and of today, America of today. It's written, certainly since we've had the current president, there's comments about him, about the ecological situation, and so there's that part of it. Okay, now there's another part that's distinctly different that you'll run into and think, what's going on? It's a completely different scene where it's this story with a third-person narrator of a mother lion out in the wilderness. She's in Ohio, but evidently lives somewhere around there and has 2 cubs. And it's the story of the lioness, and it grows on you too. First you're like, huh? How does this fit in? But it's interesting that I'm telling you in the middle of it that it's already growing on me. Things are already kind of coming together, and I'm sure they'll come together a lot more at the end. So anyway, I definitely want this to be on the short list, and I really want to read it again, because it's just, the more you read, the more you realize how it really does fit together, and it really is making sense. I mean, I really feel like I'm living in this person's mind, this woman's mind, when I'm reading it. And I want to say also, I'm reading it, taking an easy pace with it. I'm reading 50 pages a day. There's no chapters or anything, so you can just stop wherever. And kind of, I think any more than that would be kind of an overload to my senses. There's so much in it and so richly textured. So anyway, I just wanted to give this thumbs up for Dux Newbury. And I had mentioned that you can't get it in the U.S. now, that Amazon never has gotten their copy. And I got mine from Book Depository. I think they might be out now too, but I'm sure if you live in England, there's ways you can get this. So get it if you can, and I'd love to hear what you all think about it. Okay, on to my reading. Bye.